Welcome to Heart of Home, where we explore the deep emotional connections that turn a simple house into a loving home. In a quiet suburb stands a house that has weathered many storms, holding secrets and stories within its aged wooden walls. Time seems to move slower here, preserving the echoes of laughter and tears that have filled these rooms for decades. Grandpa John looks around his living space, feeling the weight of the past, but suddenly desiring a fresh start for tomorrow. His eyes settle on the massive oak table that dominates the dining area, looking incredibly worn out and tired today. The varnish is peeling away like old skin, and deep cracks run across the surface like wrinkles on an aging face. He decides it is finally time to let go of the old junk and bring some modern style into this house. His son arrives shortly after, looking at the clutter with critical eyes, agreeing that the house desperately needs a major update. They stand together critiquing the furniture, with the son pointing out how the wobbly legs are a safety hazard for everyone. The daughter-in-law joins them, flipping through a glossy magazine to show Grandpa the sleek, modern glass tables that are currently trending. Grandpa nods in approval, visualizing how much more spacious and elegant the dining room would look without that heavy wooden beast. The old table stands silent in the middle of the room, unaware that its fate has just been sealed by them. The next morning brings a flurry of activity as the family begins the heavy task of clearing out the old furniture. They move quickly around the dining room, viewing the sturdy old table as nothing more than a large obstacle to remove. The son attempts to lift one corner, but groans under the weight, annoyed by how heavy and impractical the old wood is. Grandpa admits it is quality solid wood from the past, but insists it takes up too much space and must go. They strip the table of its accessories, removing the old vase and cloth, leaving the scarred wooden surface completely exposed. The little grandchild arrives home from school, backpack on shoulders, stopping dead in the doorway at the sight of the chaos. The child watches with wide eyes as father and grandfather combine their strength to drag the heavy table toward the exit. Confusion turns to sudden panic on the child's face, and small lips begin to tremble as the realization hits home. Running forward, the little one spreads small arms wide to protect the furniture, shouting loudly for them to stop immediately. The adults pause, surprised by the outburst. The father wipes his brow and explains they are buying something much better. But the child shakes their head vigorously, tears streaming down, insisting that no new table can replace this special one. Grandpa steps closer, kneeling down to eye level, and gently asks why such an ugly old table is worth these tears. Through sobs, the child explains that this is where the family eats dinner together, and asks where they will go. The innocent question hangs in the air, silencing the room, as the adults look at each other with sudden realization. Grandpa looks deep into his grandchild's tearful eyes, then slowly turns his gaze back to the table with a new perspective. He walks slowly toward the wood, extending a trembling hand to touch the cold surface he was so ready to discard. His fingers trace a deep scratch in the wood, and suddenly the silence of the present gives way to memories. He is transported back 30 years, seeing the table when it was new, reflecting the smiling face of his beloved wife. He remembers her placing a steaming pot of stew right there, the aroma filling the room with warmth and love. He sees his son as a young boy doing homework, accidentally spilling ink that would leave a permanent mark forever. He recalls the urge to scold him, but his wife simply smiled and wiped it up, leaving a faint stain behind. The memory shifts to a birthday celebration with a cake sitting proudly in the center, surrounded by singing and laughter. Hot wax drips onto the wood, and he rushes to clean it, creating another small scar that tells a story. Then comes the memory of a stormy night the family huddled together around this very table for safety and comfort. They shared simple food and anxious glances, their hands clasped tightly together on the sturdy wood as the storm raged. He sees the day his son graduated, the diploma placed proudly on the surface for everyone who visited to see. The scene shifts to a darker tone the day his wife passed, leaving him sitting alone at the empty table. He remembers resting his head right here, his tears soaking into the grain as he mourned the love of his life. But sadness turns to hope as he recalls his grandchild learning to walk using these sturdy legs for support. He wiped his tears and smiled, realizing the table was not just furniture, but the silent witness to their lives. Back in the present, Grandpa pulls his hand away, his eyes filled with fresh tears and a sudden deep understanding. He realizes now that this is not just a piece of rotting wood, but the physical diary of their family history. His son breaks the silence, asking if he is all right, and if they should continue dragging the old thing out. Grandpa raises a hand to stop him, his voice trembling but firm as he commands them to leave the table. The daughter-in-law looks confused, gently, reminding him that it is broken and no longer matches the style of the house. Grandpa points a shaking finger at the old ink stain, asking his son if he remembers making it in third grade. The son bends down to inspect the mark, and a wave of recognition washes over his face, softening his expression. Grandpa moves his finger to the burn mark, reminding him of his 10th birthday and how much his mother laughed. Silence falls over the son as he swallows hard, suddenly feeling a deep sense of regret for his earlier dismissal. Grandpa turns to hug his grandchild tightly, whispering that the little one was right about the table all along. He addresses the room, declaring that family is not built on expensive things, but on the moments shared right here. The daughter-in-law smiles warmly, closing the furniture catalog and setting it aside, her heart touched by the deeper meaning. Working together with new purpose, the family lifts the heavy table and carries it back to its rightful center spot. Grandpa retrieves his old toolbox, announcing with a spark in his eye that they are going to restore its beauty. A montage begins as the son gets under the table, tightening every loose screw until the frame stands rock solid. The little grandchild helps too, holding a piece of sandpaper and gently smoothing the rough edges under Grandpa's careful guidance. The daughter-in-law wipes away years of dust and grime, preparing a special polish to feed the dry, thirsty wood. Hands from 3 different generations work together on the surface, illuminated by the warm golden glow of the afternoon sun. As Grandpa applies the fresh varnish, the rich, deep color of the oak returns, making the wood grains sing again. The scratches do not disappear, but now they shine with dignity, standing out as proud badges of their family history. When the work is finally done, the table stands transformed, radiating an elegance that only time and care can create. The family steps back to admire their collective effort, and the grandchild cheers, delighting in how beautiful it now looks. The son puts a loving arm around his father, apologizing softly for failing to see the true value lying beneath. Grandpa smiles with deep contentment, telling his son it is all right, and that the table is now ready for dinner. Evening falls gently over the house, and warm yellow lights flicker on, illuminating the freshly polished table set for dinner. Simple but delicious home-cooked food covers the surface with steam rising up exactly as it did in Grandpa's fondest memories. The family gathers around, and the grandchild hops into the familiar seat, face beaming with pure joy and satisfaction. Grandpa takes his rightful place at the head of the table, looking at his loved ones with a full heart. They begin to eat, and the room fills with the beautiful music of laughter, clinking silverware, and shared family stories. Viewed from the quiet darkness outside, the lit window frames a perfect picture of warmth, unity, and enduring family love. Grandpa serves a generous portion to his grandchild, his eyes crinkling with the kind of love that only grandparents know. The son raises his glass for a toast, correcting himself to celebrate not a new table, but their precious memory table. Glasses clink together over the center of the table, the clear, ringing sound marking a renewed promise to cherish their past. The scene softens as we transition into slow motion, focusing on the small, beautiful details that make this moment so special. We see the weathered hand of the grandfather gently covering the small, smooth hand of the child on the wood. We capture the genuine, warm smile of the daughter-in-law as she watches the bond between her husband and his father. The light catches the newly polished surface, making the ancient wood grain dance and shimmer like a river of memories. Grandpa looks momentarily into the space across from him, almost seeing the approving smile of his late wife joining them. A profound peace settles over the room as the table reclaims its rightful status as a silent but beloved family member. From above, we see the circle of life and love connected by the sturdy wooden heart that holds them together. Full and happy, the little grandchild rests a sleepy head on the table, feeling safe and anchored by family love. Grandpa gently strokes the child's hair, whispering a promise that this home will always be a place of safety. The camera slowly begins to retreat, pulling back from the intimate scene, leaving the family in their bubble of warmth. Outside the house stands strong in the darkness, its glowing windows acting as a beacon of love in the neighborhood. We are reminded that a true home is not built of bricks, but of the memories we preserve and cherish. We should never be too quick to discard the old things, for they often hold the very soul of our home. We see the table standing proud in the morning light of a future day, ready to hold memories for generations. It stands sturdy and resolute, a silent guardian ready to support the laughter and tears of the next generation to come. Look around your own home at the ticking clock or the worn chair and see the stories they are waiting to tell. Every scratch, every dent, and every worn edge is a chapter in the beautiful ongoing story of your family's life. We return one last time to Grandpa's smiling face, the face of a man who knows he has saved something precious. He looks out as if to tell us all to slow down, look closer, and treasure what we already have. The family waves goodbye, inviting you to look at your own furniture, not as objects, but as keepers of history. As the lights dim and the scene fades, take a moment to appreciate the silent witnesses in your own life. Thank you for watching Heart of Home. Cherish your memories and loved ones. Subscribe now for more touching stories about family.